Thank you, presenter Dr. Mulundu, for that very good presentation on the effects of the COVID on drug and alcohol abuse. So it is time for members who are on the board to maybe ask question or clarification where possible. There is need for marital and family career. Give children caregivers life skills so as to gain knowledge on bringing up children. Have family ministry policy in the Kenyan Constitution. Jeff Mushuku, I think that training students in various departments as peer information providers on matters based on mental health to fellow students is a good strategy. Then there is Anne who also saying that ages 1 to 14 are very crucial for prevention. Are very crucial for prevention is better than cure. I think what she was trying just to say that the focus should be more on those people aged between 1 and 14, because if maybe they get the enlightenment or education concerning drug and alcohol abuse, then it will have a better effect than starting when they are more mature than that. There is Jeff who was saying that the current economic fluctuations and the high cost of living are hitting the students differently. This is another issue that should be addressed as a matter affecting mental health of student. That is a comment. Dr. Joyce Kinyua, again, I think it's just an appreciation. Very informative. The online counseling can be very effective, especially for those who may want to conceal their identity. However, how can we deal with follow-up? So I think that is a question to our presenter. So Dr. Kinyua is saying that that method of online counseling is the best, but how can a follow-up be done? Peter Muia just said, I think it is just an appreciation. Thanks, Dr. Catherine, our presenter, my mentor, thank you so much. There is one from Vera McKen, I think. Universities deal with many bars and wines and spirit shops that are around campuses. Most of the students get their drinks from there. It is business.
From Dr. Sabrina, what is your, to the facilitator, what is your experience with the members of staff on mental health in universities? What is your experience with the members of staff on mental health in universities? Thank you.
Thank you very much for those reactions and for the comments. I appreciate it, and I agree with all the reactions we have read. So I will start by addressing my experience with members of staff on mental health in universities. And my experience, because I said I ran the employee assistant program at the University of Nairobi, is that it's not easy to deal with members of staff, especially with their mental health challenges. But what we have seen work is empowering everyone. We have mainstreamed the discussion of mental health at the university, and we'll find a few members of staff walking in and requesting for service or for a discussion. Very few members of staff. But what has worked is when we have empowered the departmental heads or the supervisors and discussed with them that when the symptoms you can see from a member of staff to suspect that they're having mental health challenges. Because from the beginning we said, unfortunately, there's no thermometer to measure, to see a temperature is going up, to see this person as a mental health problem. What you're going to see are the effects, the after effects, the consequences of the mental health challenge. And what mostly you're going to see is reduction in work output. You're going to see absenteeism from work. You're going to see reduced zeal for work. You're going to see disagreement and somebody who is not playing in the team. And as supervisors, people tend to be punitive when they see these things. So we have empowered our supervisors and departmental heads to, once you notice somebody is struggling in their performance, just refer them to the employee assistant program for counseling. You give them a written referral letter. You call the department, you ask them, I'm sending my member of staff for a discussion, and would like to get a report on their progress. And we have seen when people have been sent by their supervisors, they actually come, and that becomes an entry point, and we are able to assess and help them as need be. Sometimes you find the problem is even coming from home. They are having challenges at home and they spill over to the workplace. And when you address, because luckily the program covers the employee and their dependents, if it is their child, sometimes you find it is their child who probably is abusing drugs and not performing in school, and this affects the employee, or it is their spouse. We are able to get hold of their spouse and also bring them into their program and help them. So it's not easy for especially members of staff to walk in and ask for assistance. But when they have been referred by their peer mentors, sometimes they are referred because we have trained these mental health champions, and they will talk to their fellow employees and refer them. When they have been referred, they come. When they have been sent by their supervisors, they come, and that becomes an entry point, and we help them. So we need just to direct the members of staff to where they can get help. And once they get in, we take over the rest. There was this question on what to do with all the wines and spirits which are around our campuses. And this is part of what I was saying. We need to look at the stakeholders. First, we have the alcoholic bill, which prescribes how far off these wines and spirits and bars should be from the institutions of learning, whether as universities, colleges, or high schools or primary schools. So those need to be implemented. As an institution, if you have any of these facilities just next to your gate, the provision is more than 300 meters from the institution of learning. So as an institution, you can make a complaint to the authorities who license these bars, and then action be taken. The other thing, like you're saying, is to work with these people as stakeholders. Bring them into a round table discussion. These are the people we are saying, the people who run those kiosks, the people who host our students, who are the landlords, the mamambogas around there, because that is also where they hide, like muguka, they hide cannabis. Students who are going to buy. We need to have discussions with them, sensitization talks, so that we bring them on board. They understand these are our children. And if you're selling alcohol, you're selling muguka, you're selling cannabis to somebody's child, your child is also somewhere, somebody's selling to them. So we need to have a collective responsibility. And what we've seen working with others is once we bring this discussion, it is not them against us. We start working together for the future of our children, and we can get a few people to our side, and that is going to be useful. So we need to open our activities to from beyond our fences and reach out to those other stakeholders who are near us, because they are important, especially having these works. Recently, we have a collaboration with Mount Kenya University, and we went driving around walking around the Thika town. We did a 5-kilometer walk around Thika town, also raising awareness. And there was a lot of curiosity And it was very interesting to see the people who are selling chai and mandazi around the hostels and the campus. They were very interested in the discussion we were having. And this was a good entry point to start this discussion with them. So I would suggest that we get everybody on board and we start this discussion without fearing and without being punitive to them. And then they are going to buy that. We need to protect our students because they are our future, and selling those things to them is derailing them in their studies and affecting our country. So basically that's what I'll say. I would also want to comment about the family, the importance of parenting in prevention of substance use especially. I also run a rehabilitation center here in Nairobi. And what we have realized about children who go overboard until they need to go to a rehabilitation center, there's a lot to do with their upbringing. And we say actually substance use problem is a family problem. It runs in the family. So you realize right from the decision making, right from the guidance the students get from their families will affect how they are going to fare on, even when they get into substance use, whether they get into substance use and if they'll get out of it. So parenting is very important. I wish it is one of the things, I don't know where we can get all the parents to educate them, but let's start with forums like this. Parenting is very important. Universities, I think we also need to think widely on how to involve parents in our students' life. I was just talking to a parent last night whose child has been in one of the universities for 4 years. And they just realized on the 4th year that this student stopped going to school at 2nd year. So for 3 years, they've been paying school fees consistently every term, and this child has never progressed. And one of the questions they were asking, why did the university let me continue paying school fees? Because they said the university had been writing something like no show, like the student was. They never even contacted the parent. The parent never contacted the school. So at the end of it, this student has lost 4 years and they have nothing to show for it. So we need to collaborate even with our parents, the way we do in secondary schools. We need to collaborate with our parents, bring them on board so that we can help our students. Nowadays, what we have noticed is very young students are coming to the university. Some of them come at the age of 17, age of 18. So they are not quite adults from what we see. So let us also have that in kind of dynamic interaction with our students, that we are not really just dealing with adults. Students now are coming to universities here, and we need to see how to involve their parents in their upbringing and their progress at the university so that we move together and we get success. Because among the study we also did, we found that students who use drugs, they take longer at the university. On average, they will take 5 years to 6 years for a course which would have taken 4 years. So they lose 2 years in that university. And this comes at a cost to the university and also to the society. So I'm sure we are also interested, and we need to do something about it by working even with the parents and the other stakeholders to help our students navigate this difficult time.
Somebody is asking, what about political goodwill? Might Catherine want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of political goodwill. It's very important. And from the remarks of the Vice Chancellor when we started, the political goodwill is there. Mental health has now gotten the center stage and a lot of attention. We have seen even with the President setting up a task force to spearhead mental health. Now there's a bill which is almost being passed in Parliament. And you can see all this support we are getting even at the universities to get these opportunities to come and have this discussion. This is a lot of political goodwill. and we appreciate it. And those of us in this space, including you, Jacinta, I think we feel we have the position and we are at that timing point where we can make a mark in the history of humanity. So that's where we are, and we are grateful to be in this space at this point in time. Thank you. Everyone in the university community is a stakeholder, and the university community really can be a protective factor or a risk factor for mental health, and especially for substance use. Like we have said, many students will begin to use substances while at the university, because sometimes it's been seen like the norm that when you are at the university, you come of age, and it feels like everybody else is using, why not you? And now the culture you find, if you find a punitive environment which is not supportive, and especially for the most vulnerable members of the society, if we are not able to identify students, especially who are more vulnerable, they have risk factors, they are suffering, maybe they have economic needs, financial needs, they are struggling with their education, they are not able to fit into the new environment. If they are not identified and helped, this can be a risk factor for developing mental health and mental illness in the university. So everybody needs to play their rightful role, right from the lecturers. Actually, in the lecture room, if you find a student who is missing lectures, a student who is not turning in their assignments, who is not participating in group work, that is a very good entry point just to pick that student aside and see how they can be helped. Because for a student to come to university, they have passed well enough to get there. If they are having challenges performing while at the university, they need to be identified and helped, connected with the right people to help them. Send them for counseling. Let's not wait until we get to a point where we have to discontinue them or to take them to disciplinary actions. Those punitive actions, we miss the opportunity to help them. Let's identify them early. So even the mentorship programs we have with our lecturers and our students is very important. Everyone in the community, including like our custodians, our halls wardens, the security people, they all come in, the support staff we have, they all come in to identify students who could be struggling and then connect them to the counseling center for help, because I know the student counselors are willing to help, but sometimes, and most times, the students don't get to them until we realize critical incidences have happened, students have committed suicide or attempted suicide or gotten into bigger problems. So we all need to play our rightful role at the university environment to help our young ones.
Monica Nyukafi wants to recite a poem to wind up this.
Tick-tock, the clock ticked. Ding-dong, the bell was rung. Pit-pat, oh my rain. The sizzling aroma from the kitchen, like a guest in salvation, ready for a celebration. Daughter, this sweet creamy crunch for lunch, munch so much, my mother's words. Not again, mother, though I sound a bother, but I thought you could not hurt, for you too as the heart. The big chocolate on the table is coated with drugs, which has been made to look like a fable, is coated with drugs. No, not again, mother. On the balcony I stood, thinking of my toxic exposure during childhood and the detached people around it. Mother, you taught me how to abuse drugs. You taught me to exist without gratitude. You ruined my manners towards God. I'm just here waiting for death since my behaviors are overrated. Now I'm a student with drug addiction. I understand what I need to do to change my life. I say, I want to make better choices, but it's hard. It's sad. The dynamic of drugs is really high. Every day, new drugs, new taste. But I see students around me happy and carefree. I try to forget the past. I try to distance myself from your influence. Concentration during lectures became a problem. Absent-mindedness made lecturers to hate me. But how can I explain to them so that people can understand this? What can I tell them? The silent screams carry no word. It's just feeling of sadness and darkness that comes in its ads, that stabs me deeper than a knife. Mother, how could you feel telling you everyone is against me? Only those drugs of yours are my friend. I just feel like running away and hide. Or perhaps the ground could bury me alive. Or should I kill myself and my mom too? Anyway, I'm just daydreaming. My imaginations are just silly. It won't change anything. Drugs made me have depression. They have become compass that divides everything in my life. Mommy, I think you have the solution. Please give me a conclusion so that I may be free. Or is it because I'm not your daughter? Just return the smile to my face. You blamed me of my failures and you abused me all my life. Every woman I came across was just like you. Till this day, I am sad. I need redemption. I need concentration. I need a conclusion of all this. Maybe it's time I consider counseling. Someone may give an ear out my cries and torment. Finally, I may get some help. This burden not to bear alone.